Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Nvidia. It is time for another update, and today we will be discussing the structure, the correction that is unfolding here to the downside, as well as the relevant levels that we need to see broken for the structure to the upside to start and basically resume the uptrend and start forming a new all-time high. Now before we get there, I would like to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new, and here we are basically tracking a series of 1-2 setups in this area, where then we have a third wave up here, a fourth wave down, and now we are looking for the fifth wave to be unfolding within this area. Within this structure, I do have some other interpretations, but as long as this doesn't shift into something too different, this is probably my preferred way to interpret this chart, where we have the 1, 2, 3, and the fourth and the fifth would be unfolding right now. Now in this wave 5, we are even trying still to track an impulse. At this point, we do have the possibility of tracking here a series of 1-2 setups in this area, where this would be the third wave up, fourth wave down, and now this would be the initial fifth wave to the upside. If we fail to hold here certain areas of support, we will probably need to shift to a structure that might be tracking a diagonal pattern, although at this point, if we actually break that the relevant areas of support for that structure, we will probably have finished this entire movement to the upside. So in the end, we do need to see further extensions to determine what type of pattern really is going on, but for the idea of an impulse, we could be looking at quite high extensions, where even this fifth wave would still be ongoing, and then we would still need a couple 4-5 patterns to complete this entire movement to the upside. And that is at least within the idea of an impulse. Now within this movement to the upside, we are focusing solely on this fifth wave at this point anyway, where in this structure so far we don't have enough waves to consider a full impulse complete. In fact, I don't really believe we have enough waves to even consider this fifth wave complete, where I would like to see at least another high within this pattern. We would need to see a 5-wave structure to the upside, which at this point I'm not really convinced we do have. I could consider this something like 1, 2, 3 maybe, and here a fourth and then a fifth. That could work out technically, and there could be, or that could be the way it would play out in the case of a major market top, where we could witness afterwards quite a significant retracement. But for now, we are still within the smaller time frame areas of support that we are tracking, and at this point we have even gotten to the green support area for the idea that we were tracking in a diagonal pattern. And for now, we even are still able to track the idea of an impulse, where in the blue scenario we even have a couple of options to track this idea, where I could argue that this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, then this could be the third wave up. We are now in the fourth wave and are looking for the fifth wave, the upside. We do even still have relevant areas of support available for us to track within this interpretation, but I could even argue that this is the 1, 2 complete, and then this is the entire wave 3, and the wave 4 could still push even lower than necessarily this area of support for the idea of an impulse. So we don't even have only one way to track the impulse still going on, where we would need several additional highs before we can consider this entire pattern complete. But I have to say, it is probably preferred at this point that this structure within the wave 3 is over, and that we are in the green scenario, where we are in the larger wave 4 correction. Now in that case, within the wave 4, I would expect to form something like an ABC structure to the downside, in which case we may have completed the wave A. I could argue that this wave A has extended to the downside in a leading diagonal in a 5-wave move, where we were tracking the area of resistance for the orange wave 4 up to the $198 level. In that case, we did briefly break above it, but nothing too significant, and then extended lower in what could be considered easily an ABC pattern as part of the larger fifth wave to the downside, in which case, well, honestly, we may need to be prepared for a larger ABC pattern before we can even look for the new all-time highs within this area, within this larger structure in the green scenario. That is not a problem. We do still have the areas of support even in blue at this point, but we have the area of support here in green that allows the correction to go as low as that $129 level before we would even consider a completion and invalidation of further extensions to new highs. Now at this point, as I was saying, we need to be watching out for a larger ABC structure to be unfolding, and that is not to say that this pattern, this correction could not be complete. It is possible, but I do need to watch out for a break here above the resistance levels between the $187 all the way up to the $203 level, where as long as we stay here below the $203 level, I actually do even prefer that we get another low, a larger correction in a wave B and another low afterwards. Now, as we push higher within this wave B, across other stocks, we may see additional new all-time highs form. We may see a lot more strength in other stocks, although, as it has been proven by history and until now, while Nvidia does have the correction, the other stocks do as well, and they don't necessarily tend to outperform Nvidia, where it would make a lower high that they make a higher high. It could be something to watch out for in the current market conditions anyway, where even the positive market, the future outlook for the stock, the future guidance, which was extremely positive, didn't manage to get it to not form another low. Well, we may be in a position where we may start seeing Nvidia start underperforming compared to some other stocks. Now, in that case, I'm not trying to say that this structure could not unfold in other patterns. In fact, I do even see the possibility of a different structure, something like an ABC movement, in which case, yeah, on this chart, we may be looking here at a wave 1 down, a wave 2 up, a third wave down unfolding right now, and then a fourth and a fifth to still work out this structure in a more direct fashion, where this would still be the wave 4 in green that I would be considering, but it will be part of a more direct ABC structure. Yeah, once again, ABC, we are tracking within this area. Now, if we manage to push directly and even break above the resistance levels, well, I am prepared for that scenario. It is not a problem to consider this correction complete in different patterns. We could consider a WXY, in which case we don't really need additional lows, but it isn't necessarily a time to be overconfident on this stock's performance. At least this is my opinion, and that will continue to be until we see some further evidence of a bottom being formed, like breaking above the resistance area or forming a larger 5-wave structure to the upside. Yeah, that would also bring confidence even if we don't necessarily break the resistance area directly. Now, in the case of the further extension lower, well, I will be watching out here for the ABC, within which I'm looking internally at an ABC structure to be unfolding, and we can track this actually in a white interpretation, wherein here we are looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4th, and the 5th. This would be also white, and in this case, in the wave 3 to the downside, we are looking at this internal ABC structure. Yeah, we are looking here at the wave A down. The wave B would be unfolding right now if it hasn't topped already, and then we would expect still another extension to the downside in the wave C. In that case, for the internal wave B, I would be watching out for resistance at the levels between the $181.5 all the way up to the $191 level at the 78.6% retracement, where a break above that, well, it would indicate that it is rather likely than not that this white scenario interpretation is not playing out, and we shouldn't be focusing too much on direct extensions lower. Yeah, and then a break above the beginning of this wave A would be an invalidation of this idea of an ABC pattern. Now, I know it does seem quite unrealistic for Nvidia to be outperformed by the rest of the stocks, and it is not necessarily a guarantee that I'm trying to point out, that I'm trying to throw out there. It is something that I'm considering based on the market sentiment, the structure that I'm seeing on this chart. While on other charts, there have been much more significant corrections, much more deeper, much of divergence that we have seen within the corrections. Many of them have the possibility of a higher likelihood of having a bottom formed, but keep in mind, as I presented on the other stocks in the last few days, actually just yesterday, we do see the possibility of extensions lower even for those. So while Nvidia has a higher likelihood for me than others to extend lower, some of them do also have that scenario, even though it is not the preferred one. Yeah, the structure allows for a quicker bottom on some of the other stocks, which have already pushed quite deep into their respective areas of support, and we need to watch out for very closely in this period because the market is in general at a very critical point where many of the stocks could easily fail if they form too many additional lows or if they push too deep. And for that reason, I am watching out extremely closely and I will be providing very frequent updates over the next week. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.